from the Bureau of Meteorology. It just started raining during the three-quarter time break, and reasonably solid rain now. Collingwood enjoy a 31-point lead as we start the final term. Barlow just gets wrapped up and continues just to sort of charge through. Blair ends up with it, and quickly inside 50 through hands. Dawes ends up with Fasolo, gets tackled. Ball spills to the outer side, crashing through as Blair. Free kick going the way of the Dockers. Just on Dane Swanwick, who you spoke about, his body shape, much was made about his weight. He's always been a little rotund. It never really has changed, but his capacity is extraordinary.
Oh, he's not overweight. His skin fold would be something like 35, 36. It certainly would be well under 50. And the average player's about 50, so he just shows you how he's just so strong and fit through the body.
No advantage.
So the umpires picked out a free kick to the Magpies.
Yeah, in the back. You want it here? Okay.
Swan, just getting back to Swan again, it's really his pace. It's his pace to actually explode away from the contest. That's what breaks opponents generally.
Clark into the back of Shaw was the free kick, and eventually goes short to Beams. He's got the footy just backward of the wing. The Magpies by 31 points, as we mentioned at the last change. Freo threatened to make a real game of it. A bit of a run, big pack there. Flying was Jolly at the back. Wellingham, he looks up, not a lot to kick to, so has a shot, and it just touches the base of the goalpost behind. That was some sort of effort from there. A quick kick in to McFarlane.
It's great awareness by Shao to Wellingham. Then when he picked up the ball, he knew he had a player just on his left-hand side. He took the right step to the right to give himself a little bit of extra time to have a shot on goal.
Well, if you've just joined us, the Pies kicked the first 6, got out to a 40-point lead. Dockers 6 of the next 8, and then the Pies the last 2 of the third term. Last time they played here at the MCG, the Dockers was wet as well. This rain has come late. That was against the Tigers. They had a rare win at the MCG. It's a tougher ask today against the league leader. Wellingham over the top through hands of Elliott. Ends up with Swan. Swan to Blair. Tough for Blair. Did it well. Back to Swan. Little give was okay to Fasolo. Just to the top of the square, across the face, and Cloak marks when McFarlane, I think, thought it was going to be sailing through. So Travis Cloak on the wrong side for a lefty. Banana, you would think, has one for the afternoon. Now has 1-1. I think every time he's got it in his hands, Tommy's thinking, I need to kick you. I need to go 950 to 1 million. or if he misses, it's 900 to 850.
I'm not so sure about that, Hayne, but I think he's the most valuable key position player in the game at the moment.
Subban kicks to himself. Thomas couldn't mark it that time. A greasier footy, by contrast to the ball that he marked very skillfully just before half-time a couple of times. Good kick by Griffin. Did well to Broughton, to Ballantyne. Sprinting through the lines. A long one down to Pavlich. He marks. He thought about playing on. The ball was bobbling and Tuvey was closing. So he's happy just to go back from what will be virtually directly in front and only 30 metres out.
That's the ball movement that they've been screaming out for so long. And it's amazing it comes from Ballantyne, who's got an instinct to play on, regardless of whether he's having a shot or not. And if you get the ball moving quickly, you give your forward some opportunity perhaps to be one out.
25 goals, 14 in 2012. We mentioned 514 career goals, so this to go past Peter Sumich on his own as the most goals kicked by a West Australian-based player, and he's done it. Through it goes. Collingwood's lead cut to 27 points. Freo 7-6, Collingwood 10-15, and the skipper, he's tried his heart out again. 3-2. One of those behinds was a really bad miss earlier in the game when Freo were just trying to stay in touch with the Magpies. Who knows? Could have been a different story had he converted there. Still, not a bad day's work.
Here's that quick ball movement Mick was talking about. It was a great mark and kick by Pavlich. I actually saw him go over to the midfield group and speak to them and talking about quicker ball movement and more penetration, so he got that straight away.
Thanks, Kirky. So Pav makes it a 27-point margin. Great career, 6 All-Australians, 6 best and fairest. Hasn't played enough finals football for his liking. As the Dockers just try and work their way through a tough afternoon at the MCG. 27 points the margin, still 16 and change to play. Pavlich the target again, couldn't this time. Muzungu goes up, couldn't take it cleanly. Jolly, hands and knees. Did the roving work. Ends up with Tuvey to the outer side. A loose man. Guess who? Dane Swan. Just ricochets off Ballantyne and breaks into full stride. A give and a get from Beams, and then in the Cloak and Dawes direction through hands out the back. Cloak looks to have a bit of pace. Cutting it off, Robertson does well. Dawes lays hands onto him. But he got the ball away to McPhee, who in turn goes to Muzungo. Advantage was called. It's not going to work out well for the Dockers. Swan fumbles, gives this time. Payne just sort of gives it off to Cloak, who goes around the corner. And Travis Cloak, when he has no time, finishes well. Well, it was an instinct kick in the end. He hardly had time to look. He finishes with a ball around the corner. And the Pies get their 11th. And we're back out to that comfy 5-goal plus buffer of 33 points after the Dockers got it back to 17 points late in the third term before Dawes and Swan got the last 2.
Just the maintenance of possession's really important when you play against Collingwood. That kick from Fremantle coming out from half-back just slightly favoured Collingwood. They swoop on the turnover really well. Fight ends up with the resultant goal.
And the roar for Caolan Mooney, the 19-year-old Irishman, elevated to the senior list. This time last year he was playing Gaelic footy for County Down in Ireland. It's a wonderful story. Good luck to him and a very speedy customer. Electrifying pace. His nickname is the Road Runner. Looking forward to seeing what he can do in the last 15 minutes of this game. Here's Main. Got a handball to Pavlich. Lower, went backwards. Not sure about that to Barlow. Sold him into some trouble. He released though. Ball comes out now Pearce's way. Gathers back to Lower, trying to fend off. He didn't see the Irishman coming from behind.
Isn't that great to see?
And it's Cloak that's taken the red vest. He did pop a knock in his knee earlier on, so that possibly could be why.
So a handball for Caolan Mooney. He's kept his eligibility status alive, if you like, Tom.
I reckon it's great. I mean, it's fantastic to make your debut. Fantastic that he's an Irishman in multicultural round. He'd want to be quick. He's carrying a pretty heavy number there in 48.
He's played only 9 VFL games this year. He's kicked 16 goals, 5 of them last week.
And that's what you want, straight into the game. Win yourself a free kick. Well done.
He's only played 9 VFL games, 3 NAB Cup games in total in his life, and he's at the MCG, the home of football.
Isn't it a great story? And in multicultural round, well, it couldn't be any better, could it? The ball now kicked towards half forward for the Magpies, and for Fremantle rather. Muzungu slow to get up.
He lives with Jamie Elliott, so as well as a player that hasn't played yet in the form of Corey Galt. So be an excited house tonight.
Harry O'Brien says he might be faster, Mick, than Cyril Rioli.
Oh, I think he's the fastest thing I've seen over 100, certainly over 30, 40 metres.
Well, there you go. That is a massive wrap. And the ball close to the line. Robertson's tried his heart out today. He's been a handy inclusion for Fremantle. 16 possessions. Been out there the whole time and certainly hasn't been the worst of them for the Fremantle Dockers. Jolly now in front. Down to Blair, to Swan for possession number 36. He's got his number in possessions. 41 is his best against Fremantle.
That was just a great tap from Jolly just off the hip there. He had Blair and Swan both on the defensive side. Perfect for a ruckman.
And no Fremantle players. That was it, Kirky. Not one player from Fremantle was on that defensive side.
That's right, Mick.
Swan's 41 against Freo in round 13, 2009. That's his best 36 touches. He might get there.
And another big tackle from the Irishman. You get the feeling he might become a cult figure.
Here we go.
Blair, little give was good to Elliott. There's Mooney again. I think we should probably start calling him either Caolan or Mooney rather than just the Irishman. O'Brien ducks, weaves, kicks. Well, off hands of Daisy Thomas. McPhee did well, kept his composure. Then he just slapped it. And they'll be okay here, the Dockers. They'll work it. Bouncing ball. De Boer, Reed just tackled by De Boer, taken to ground. Umpire lets it roll. Lower picks it up, gets tackled by O'Brien too high.
I
think just getting back to the young Irishman Mooney, he does things instinctive. The tackling is very foreign to an Irishman. Marty Clark really struggled with his tackles, and when you analyse his first 2 commitments so far on the ground so far have both been tackles, and that's a rarity with the Irish.
And there was a great story, Mick, wasn't there, in the training last year when he was using the jumping bags?
Well, I took him for the jump, and I said, have a go at marking the football. His first jump, he ran straight into the bag. The second one, he flew over it. So I think he's a little bit of Superman about him too.
Wellingham at half-back just works it to Swan. He's got busy getting a heap of touches. This time not clean. Johnson, little one to Subin, and into the middle. A couple of Dockers taking the diving mark was Pitt. Started as a sub today. Brings the ball laterally to McPhee. Dangerous here. Beams will get there first. No one really at home unless he goes in short. He'll do that to Thomas. Good ball to Daisy. Now the long ball. Jamie Elliott hard on the lead. Receives. Perfect ball from Thomas. And Elliott, well, he looked at his flatmate quickly in Caolan Mooney. Ignored him. He'll go back and kick it goal, you'd think.
He did ignore him. He had him right in the corridor there. They can discuss that tonight over dinner, I reckon.
That ball's there because of another player from Fremantle who just took it for granted that I'll kick it in the direction of his teammate. Went over his head, gobbled up by Collingwood. Very, very slack effort to get it right.
So Jamie Elliott kicks across the face. They fly the Dockers and they're happy to see it through for one behind. Just about discussing that ignore at dinner. Just speaking about dinner, Nathan Buckley rang Caolan Mooney, who was having dinner on Wednesday night, told him he was playing. He said it ruined my dinner but made my week.
Michael Johnson, a Clontarf boy from the Clontarf Football Academy, set up by Jared Neesham. Thomas's kick is perfect, and the mark has been taken by Jackson Payne right on the line. What about that kick? Was he having a shot or passing?
Passing. No doubt passing.
Well, Mick would know, and Jackson Payne the finish. Collingwood have their 12th, and the lead now 40 points. Another good day's work from Daisy Thomas. Up to 23 possessions. 1 goal, 1, and a very valuable assist right there. And reasonably dejected Ross Lyon watching on from the coach's box a moment or two ago. So they'll slump now to 6 and 7, and provided there's not a draw in the St Kilda North game, they'll be 2 games out of the 8.
Fantastic, solid dummy for a start off, and just had a look at his player inside. It could have been a goal, but Daisy would have given it to his teammate. There's no question about that.
So Swan again gets busy, getting busy. Little handball over the top. Blair crashes through, couldn't take it cleanly. Lower, give to Barlow quickly inside 50. Main on the hard lead.
Matthew Pavlich.
Called that earlier, Mick, just the early hold for Nathan Brown. Yeah, the ball's coming in.
Brandy's got a habit of wrapping players up first, but that was experienced by Pavlich. He had his hand across him because Nathan Brown instinctively grabbed his arm, and that is one of his, I guess, one of his areas that he's not familiar with. He's a basketball cum footballer, so he's still got a few years to learn all those tricks.
12 goals in the last 3 weeks. He has 4 for the afternoon. We're back to 34 points at the G. But the Pies, after that lightning start, have never really been threatened. Maybe a brief moment in the 3rd term where 3 consecutive goals to the Dockers brought it back to 17 points. But within a couple of minutes, Dawes and Swan, they'd struck, and it was back to 30 points before 3/4 time.
To see the hold there, Nathan Brown, really experienced play by Pavlich. Only the 28 inside forward 50s Fremantle, so it's been a good day from the Freo skipper to kick 4 goals from his 19 possessions.
And they might be on the way forward again here, the Magpies. A long kick, Goldsack back out on the ground. He's got the bandages on. He looks like the mummy out there, wrapped up tightly, the ball over the line. Interesting, Nathan Brown, one of 3 twins out on the field today. His brother Mitch, of course, at West Coast. Nick Lower's twin brother Ed played at North Melbourne. And Zach Clark has a twin sister
I don't think she's playing with anyone.
Pretty sure about that, Mick. It's multicultural round. We've had women's round, haven't we? And the role that they play in the game, the girls, there'll be plenty of them watching this afternoon.
Fastest growing participation-based female football in Australia.
Well, I can argue the case through my coaching. I reckon I've coached a few girls.
Can we get you to name names, Mick?
No names.
Dawes, clean possession. He had it for a while. Well done, Robertson, again. He's been good today. Pearce ducked his head a little. No free kick. Crowley in there trying to fight his way through. Comes to Goldsack. Now Wellingham in there. They dive on top of him and they're going to force a bounce.
And I'll clarify that by saying no lovely. And good blokes.
Lovely but girly.
Well, when they played poorly, they were girly.
Swan's up to 37 possessions and Crowley's now gone across to him late in this game.
Blair just tries to evade the tackler in Johnson. Ends up with Barlow. Crashes the ball to the members' wing. Bouncing ball for the board. Does well. Little one to Robertson. Then over the top to Barlow. Now to Main. Harry. He closed quickly. In turn to Crowley from Main. And they'll lose it here. The Dockers. Side bottom. Inside 50. Swan beaten to it in the air by Johnson.
Have you seen it today, Mick, the Pies?
Oh, they've been the most consistent side throughout the year, and when they need to put the foot on the accelerator, they're one of the very few sides that can actually do it and kick multiple goals, and they've done it again today.
Well, Beams gets caught underneath it all. Is it a legitimate attempt? Not according to the umpire.
Dived on the football, tackled legally. Nick.
In fairness to the Pies, Mick and Tom, it was all over very early, and they just sort of maintained this 30, 35, 40 points for a long time.
But it's not unusual. This is what they do. Yep. They are very, very good at putting the foot on the accelerator and then controlling the game.
Did it against the Demons on Queen's birthday.
Yes.
Quick start and then...
Sides, look, having coached the side, the ones that worried us, or Collingwood at the time, were the ones that got the ball quickly into the forward line. Sides that muck around with it like Fremantle today, they just give you a chance to set up, and as a consequence you pay a massive penalty. Case in point right now, Freo going across the ground. Dale Thomas the opportunity to set up that defensive wall across half forward and take the ball off them.
1-1 for the afternoon for Daisy Thomas. A barrel from right on the arc. Across the face, it'll drift. Dawes, hands onto it, couldn't take it cleanly for Solo. And Goldsack trying to keep it in. Johnson happy to handball it out. Not often you see a barrel without it being disguised as an accidental barrel. He was just sort of confident enough to set sail from home for 55. Mundy underneath it all. Ball just starting to come out, but the umpire says not quick enough.
From that side, Hamish, with Daisy Thomas, and this is not from experience, I can guarantee. I've seen players that they can really curl the ball back with a barrel, so there was definitely method to the talk.
The ball bounced inside 50 for the Magpies. They're trying to work it out. Robertson again at the bottom of the pack. There's Barlow across to Ballantyne, back in after a week's suspension. High ball. Main got high. Brown waiting down, tapped it to Crowley. Grew up as a Collingwood supporter. Gavin Brown was his favourite player. He was drafted by Fremantle. Ballantyne, well done. Kept running, kept the ball in front of him and gained an extra 20 or 30 metres. That was a good effort. The ball just outside 50 now. It'll be thrown in. By contrast, Mick, what about Fremantle today?
I'm very disappointed in Fremantle. I've got to say that early in the season, you just thought that perhaps that defensive quality was lacking. Defensively, they're half sound and they're half not. They're sort of in and out. They really haven't decided what sort of game they have to play. And if they're going to persist with 28 inside 50s, you're not going to win many games of football, and you can't win it at Subi and you can't win it here, and that's basically the difference in the whole structure at the moment.
Been a horribly disappointing month and a half when you consider they've gone from 5-2 to 6-7. Just the lone win against the Tigers here at the MCG.
They've won just one of their last 5. That was it, Hame. And Dane Swan, incidentally, with that free kick earlier, up to 38 possessions. Push out against Dawes. Going Griffin's way. Griffin's tried hard today in the absence of Aaron Sandlands, enjoying regular game time and a lot of it. There was a couple of whistles out of 50, is it?
Yep. I hope it wasn't because of the way the ball was given back, because it was given straight back, a little bit hard into the stomach, but surely that would not constitute 50 metres. I just hope that someone has stepped over the mark.
It was hard to see what else it might have been for if it wasn't for that. It was thrown back hard. Griffin goes long. Mayne the target. Jolly back there. Mayne got the football back, throws it on the boot and kicks a consolation goal for the Dockers. His second. So the coach goes to the telephone, and I guess we'll find out soon enough who that player was that transgressed. I wonder if there'll be a message out. And the player coming off, he's heading in the doors direction. He's not happy. He changed his tune, and then a bit of encouragement.
Consolation goal from the Freo Dockers. Griffin was involved there. I think he has been serviceable in the absence of Sandless, but really missed the run and carry of Hill, and obviously Fife's not going to return, so that's been the difference for the Dockers.
Dane Swan, hands on it again, not a possession. 38 for the day. I suppose he's got to get that sort of a number just to hit his average of 34. Talking about averaging, plenty of the ball. Beams quickly around the corner. Ugly sort of a bounce, just drifts away to the left.
It was Dawes that gave that 50-metre penalty away, and he came straight onto the phone and spoke to Buckley, and it just shows the disciplined approach Nathan Buckley wants in his team.
It was disciplined, but it was very stiff, I think.
Griffin, Jolly, neither real winners. And a free kick going the way of the Pies.
No good on the knee, all right? Keep the knees out.
I agree, Mick. I think he was stiff on the free kick, but I think he might have had some choice words to say to the umpire.
A little technicality.
This kid here, he's looming as an All-Australian, isn't he?
Oh, have to be. I reckon he's leading the Copeland at this point.
Oh, let me. Well,
a few games missed.
Pendlebury early, and
few
then
games
Swan
missed
later.
for his competitors.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, he's having a remarkable season. Even talking about him in those sort of terms indicates how well Football Nation thinks he's playing. Beams. He's offline. He had his fair share of injuries last year, Mick, and missed the granny. Was it true that he came to you and said, "I'm ruling myself out for the grand final"?
Oh, part and parcel.
Yeah.
It was. He did have a groin. He had a groin most of the year, quite frankly. It was a little bit of fasciitis pubis.
So Johnson's long kick towards the defensive 50. There is the first gamer over the footy, Caolan Mooney. He got a bit of rough treatment inside bottom, and O'Brien getting physical.
The ball's in!
And throwing the footy in the best way to break down those sort of skirmishes. Blair, he's been good. Possession number 31, if indeed he had a possession in there. He might not have. Ibbotson, he touched it a few times, but can't be credited with a possession. Bouncing ball inside 50. Gathered by Maxwell. Takes it outside 50 and hits for Solo.
That's been the difference, Baz. The Collingwood players coming off halfback have found an uncontested position. Here he is.
Caolan Mooney wants to take them on. We know he can run. He sends it back towards full forward. Don't think it's got enough on it. Dawes gets a touch on it with the boot, and they get the finish they wanted. Good stuff by Dane Swan. He went to possession number 39, but you could see that he wanted to get the young fella involved, and Caolan Mooney obliged. He couldn't wait to get the football into his hands, and he's a runner, and I'm sure he's been told by Coach Nathan Buckley, if you get it in your hands, take them on. That's your strength, and that's exactly what he did. Lacked a bit of penetration on the kick, but they got the goal.
Just straight, raw pace. He's able to cut off the line. He's not a great bouncer of the football, but just his ability to know where the goals are. He kicked 5 out of 9 last week in the seconds, and that says a lot about and a losing side.
I reckon in time, Alan Tuvey might have a bit of a crowd rival when he gets his name up and about.
Well, you get the feeling he's going to become a bit of a favourite with the Pies fans. When he got the ball in, the crowd went up. Maxwell gets a fist to it, drags it to ground. Mayne is there. Broughton too. Broughton did well, then lost it. Wellingham and Tuvey crash into each other just on the 50. Barlow, little sort of half poke. That time to Ibbotson, and then the quick one inside 50. Ballantyne. Pavlich. Neither could take it. Pavlich got held by Reid. Umpire didn't see it. Ballantyne quickly to Broughton. Broughton to Pearce. Pearce. He goes. You sense the Pies fans. They saw the hole. No whistle. So they have been blown away, the Dockers, today, after you got the feeling that's exactly what would happen after it was a 40-point margin and 6 goals to zip early going in the second term. 13-17 to 10-6. So the inside 50 count heavily favouring the Pies. The margin 29 points on Saturday Arvo footy. And the crowd 44,891.
So Fremantle will slump to 6 and 7 now, and boys, there's their next 4 games. I guess a reasonable patch coming up for the Dockers.
Yeah, they all look winnable there, Baz. So some confidence for the Dockers in the next month, perhaps.
Dane Swan with that little handball equals his career best of 41 against the Dockers, and there's the captain standing tall. In the end, it was a free kick for too high, the umpire said, Scott Jeffrey, but he held the mark. And this will be goal number 5 if he kicks it. So that's a pretty good day's work.
Well, it's a good day's work, and you have a look at Reed's the way he approaches that is always getting himself in trouble. If that was Nathan Brown, he'd be up on the shoulder. Reedy likes to come from behind and read the ball, so he's paid a penalty from the goal square.
They kicked 6 against Richmond back in round 11, and this for 5 goals 2 this afternoon, and he missed one from dead in front. The skipper obliges, and he gets the lead back to a more respectable 23 points. So Matty Pav, 5-2, 21 disposals. The game's record holder with Fremantle, 269 today. He's their all-time leading goal scorer. As we heard earlier, 6-time All-Australian. His best 25 possessions against Collingwood, 21 today.
Pies by 23 points and a big 3 weeks with perhaps an easier 4th. Carlton Friday night football, Cats and the Hawks. They're going to make it 10 in a row this afternoon. Who knows where the unbeaten run will end. They crash it forward again. Quick give. Goldsack just lost it at a crucial moment. McPhee went and got it. Johnson back to De Boer, and then the quick kick, the hurried kick as he was put under enormous pressure. Daisy Thomas missed Goldsack. De Boer is there. Goldsack went and got it again, then got tackled, spilt the ball. De Boer looked for Robertson, couldn't find him for Solo. Always exciting when he gets near it. Lost the ball, and McPhee to De Boer. And then quickly outside of the dangerous territory for Fremantle, but Ballantyne had to work hard. Over the top, and he found Shaw, and he fires it back inside. This time, McPhee on the end of the Shaw bullet. Carlton, Geelong, Hawthorn, Mick, for Collingwood in the next 3 weeks. What unthinkable they win all of them.
Well, I think they're the best side, and they're the youngest side, they're the fittest side. And I know I'm making big statements here, but they really have got numbers, and they've been a good side over a number of years, so you don't really see why they shouldn't be able to win those games.
Marley Williams inside 50, ends up with Dawes. Great snap. Dawes gets his second. Make it 3. So Dawes gets 3, and we've got an injury. This time, is it Jackson Payne who's riling in pain? Not sure what happened in the contest there.
Yeah, long ball coming in. Payne just getting cleaned up on the side. It's a good afternoon for Dawes. 3 goals provided a presence, Mick, up forward.
Well, I think, Tom, this could be the most multiples he's kicked this year.
Yep.
So I think he's got a 1 and a 1. So it's been a very good day for him, really.
Yeah, hadn't been a multiple goal kicker this season up until 5 minutes ago. In fact, Mick, he 4 for the year coming in. He's now kicked 7 for the season, and the mark is paid there to Broughton. A couple of touches on it, and then in the end wrapping it up. They tried him on O'Brien earlier. Well, O'Brien was on him, but it was a attacking defensive move, if you like. It didn't really work. Here's Greg Broughton from right on the 50 for Fremantle's 12th goal of the afternoon, which is a pretty respectable effort. A dozen it is. Fremantle 12-6, Collingwood 14-7. And to Fremantle's credit, after quarter time, Tom, I suppose you've got to say that they have stuck at it. They conceded 6 in the first term, but from that point on, they've outscored Collingwood. So that's a very positive sign.
I don't think they've scored a point since the second quarter, Baz. So they've kicked remarkably straight. And I think that's the only thing that's really kept them in the game and analyse it. 31 shots to 18, inside 50, 68 to 32, Tom. So I guess that says it all.
Oh, it's high-risk football, really. You're not going to win too many games not having in excess of 40 inside 50s. They'll be well short of that this afternoon. Matthew Pavlich has been a star up forward for them, really, with the 5 goals.
Crowd total just came up, 44,891. The third biggest home and away crowd Freo have ever played in front of. Puts it in perspective when you say that it's Collingwood's 345th greatest crowd. Third highest.
How many of those 44,000 Freo supporters today, hey?
I've seen 3 earlier in the game.
2's company, 3's a crowd.
They go forward. Again, the Pies. 23 points only the margin. And the Irishman quickly to Thomas, and Thomas finishes. Quick give from Caolan, Mooney, and Thomas happy to accept.
Couple of good
Mooney,
assists.
sorry, Tommy, in game, what are we saying now? 13 total, 9 VFL, 3 NAB Cup. Doesn't in any way look overawed. He was apparently one of the great Gaelic footballers, went from the minors to the leagues, which is very rare, and he's just drifted into AFL football.
Well, he's come in. It's great to see Nathan Buckley give him a go. He's had the 3 disposals, I think 2 score assists, laid a couple of tackles. It's terrific. I really like Dale Thomas in the forward line. I think with the emergence of Beams in particular and Blair this year as real ball winners that can get themselves in the high 30s. They've got now 32 apiece, Beams and Blair. Thomas can spend some time. He's at 26 himself and spend some time in the forward 50. He's been terrific today. With
all the excitement of Caolan, Mooney and Dale Thomas up forward, Dane Swan's got himself to 43 possessions now. He's powering on. The footy kicked out wide. It's marked by Barlow. He got it from Ballantyne. Last rights now for the Dockers. Broughton not paid the mark. Mzungu throws it on the boot, and fittingly Maxwell might have the last touch. It won't count, but Collingwood have won the game by 29 points, and they've got 10 in a row. Collingwood 15-17, Fremantle 12-6. The Magpies on top of the ladder and on top today. So the Magpies getting the job done, and they were led today by Dane Swan. 43 touches and 2 goals too, and he is with Brett Kerr.
Swanee, another big day out. You must be happy with the midfield depth at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You know, even though Penrith is missing, clearly Beamsy inside have stepped up, become a great midfielders, mate. So, you know, we're really pleased with the depth.
Yeah, I was talking about early on about a gut runner. Is that something you can train, you think?
Oh, yes and no. It's probably the only way I can get a kick, mate. So I'll have to try and, you know, use a little bit of speed and power to get a kick, mate.
Yeah, do you think it's more of a mental thing of being able to push through things?
Yeah, a little bit, mate. I think a lot of work started in the pre-season, you know, our altitude training and stuff. I think, you know, at the footy club, it's kind of built in, and that's the culture we require at the footy club. So, you know, we all have to do it.
Yeah, and what influence is Nathan Buckley having on the team at the moment?
Oh, well, you know, clearly he's the coach, mate, and what he says goes. So, you know, he's thinking our game plan a little bit. You know, we're off to a little bit of a shaky start, but, you know, clearly something's working. You know, we're slowly improving. Hopefully by August, September, we're playing our best footy.
Thanks, mate. Go and enjoy.
Thanks very much, David.
Well, Dane Swan talks about the shaky opening after 3 rounds. They were 1 and 2. They've won the last 10 in a row and sit on top of the table. And if we're looking for positives, Mick and Tom, 10 goals straight after half-time for Fremantle. They won the final term. Let's go. Sorry, Mick. We've got Dane Beams before we speak about the Dockers. He's with Kirky.
Beamsy, you're in good form, mate. You're getting used to a tagger coming to you.
Yeah, it's only the last couple of weeks I've sort of had a bit more attention than what I've usually had. I'm probably more, you know, Pendles is out of the side and Bally, so you know, someone's got to pick up the slack and release his guys like Swanee. I think Swanee might have had crowd in the second half, so release his guys like Swanee, and he's able to have the impact that he did today.
Do you have to change the way you play with someone run next year?
Well, I think Well, I haven't really had it before, so I just tried to ask as many questions as I can to Swanee and Pendles and just try and lose them in the traffic, I think.
Yeah, and Lukey Ball, what's his influence on you this year?
Yeah, real good. You only got to look at Ball and the way he trains and the way he's going about his rehab, and just to know how well respected he is around the club. And he's been really good. The first couple of games I played, he sent me a couple of text messages, so he's been fantastic and he's really good for our young guys.
Thanks, mate. You have a great year. Keep it up.
So Collingwood 15-17-107. They win it against Fremantle 12-6-78 by 29 points in front of 44,000 at the MCG.